Conscious Spirit Media. Hello, Conscious Spirit Media. I'm really excited here to have Jahnan Derso on the line. She is into plant medicines, and she founded Hibiscus Healing, and I'm really excited for her to share with you her knowledge on some self-care tips and also the benefits of some plants for your well-being. So welcome on the call, Jahnan.
Hi, thank you, Gabriel. It's wonderful to be here.
Great. Well, let's start with introducing yourself and your journey. How did you get to where you are today? How did you get into all this plant medicine and self-care stuff?
Sure. So at a really young age, I was just drawn to working with plants and being in nature in general. And so the more that I would discover each plant and see what they had to offer, it just felt like exactly what I needed to do. So the one summer I was living on the land and I learned how to tincture St. John's wort. And it's this sweet little yellow flower. It's Hypericum is its Latin name. And when you put it in alcohol, it actually changes from yellow to red. Oh. And I did that. That was my first plant, and I was like, this is amazing. How does this even happen? And it just took me on this road to learning about herbal remedies first. That was how I first got started. And I continued to just travel around the world and learn from different cultures about their remedies. And it evolved into me gathering this giant self-care tool bag. And my nature is to just want to share and give everything I have to others. And so it naturally the web became this great platform to share all my skill set and be able to offer people this empowerment tools, because I truly believe that anybody can do this if they have the interest and the willingness, and that extracting the wisdom is like extracting the medicine from a plant. It's all there ready for you to access. You just have to tap into it. And so by providing people this space to explore their own innate ability to heal themselves and their families, it allowed me to feel like I was able to give to the world in a way that fulfilled what I'm here to do, but also allowed others to then tap into that same thing for them to give to them and their families.
Wow.
So that's a little backstory, but my trainings and my experiences in my life has really led me to where I'm at today and be able to share this depth of understanding and experience and inspire other people.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that intro. Very, very inspiring how you went from getting into the plant medicine, the plant tinctures, and finding that first plant. So from your experience and your journey, what do you find the most powerful plant tinctures that you've had, and maybe some of the benefits that people could gain from that?
Sure. So, well, what I've started to learn is just that there's different roles for different remedies. And so I'll tend to use plant medicines in certain ways to soothe. I'll use essential oils to help shift the energies, emotionally especially. What I've been most interested in the last 5 years has been homeopathy, which is also plant medicine. So St. John's wort, for example, we'll keep talking about that one. Hypericum, when it's diluted, becomes a homeopathic remedy and heals nerves. So it really, I love using all of them for different things, but if I really want to uproot something, I'll turn to homeopathy. But if I need to soothe something, I'll use something else. So it really depends on what's coming up in my family for which one I turn to. And I've definitely turned my entire linen closet into my apothecary. I do keep my essential oils in a separate spot because you can't mix them. The scent is too strong for the tinctures and the homeopathy. But it really depends on what's going on for somebody for what I grab. And I just feel grateful for having that larger understanding of how to use and apply things, because I feel like that's where people can get confused. And so then they don't choose anything. And so they might have remedies and they're just sitting on the shelf because they don't know which one to grab for what's going on. So when I designed my blog, I tried to help guide people through, is this what's going on? Go for this. If that doesn't work, try this one. And you're not always going to get it right in the beginning, but the more you start to experience each plant and get to know them and take time to sit and listen to what the plant is trying to teach you. That's what I really learned a lot when I was in Belize studying with Rosita Arvigo. And so her tincture line I offer because I found those Mayan rainforest remedies to be extremely potent as far as herbal remedies and tinctures go. I don't use as many herbs that a lot of people are drawn to, like echinacea, for example. It's amazing and it has its place, but I don't tend to use that much anymore, actually. There's other things that I'll go to first for boosting the immune system. And through studying with Rosita and her teachers, I got so in line with these Mayan rainforest herbs. They're from a really pure place.
Wow.
The rainforest has had, way less pollution. They haven't had any wars fought there. So when you look from the aspect of where things are grown, and because plants are they're seeping everything up from the soil, it has really helped me make that choice of cleaner herbs to use for healing, and asking that question, well, where does this come from and how is this going to affect the body?
Right.
So from that way, I really try to stick with consciously harvested plants from clean places.
Right. So they're sustainable as well.
Because it does make an impact on the environment, and I like to create a conscious choice around that.
Wow, fantastic. So not only you're benefiting people in the most optimal health, you're also benefiting the planet and the environment as well.
Yeah.
And awareness, because you have the information out there online for people to access and learn about it. So they can go more into the natural and alternative health rather than relying on the current system. Amazing, amazing. So can you tell maybe the audience and listeners who might not be aware of all the differences between homeopathy, the tinctures, and the essential oils? I mean, what are the differences between them, and what are the benefits of each?
Okay, so they all could take the same plant and distill it in different ways.
Okay.
So an essential oil, for example, if you want rose essential oil, you would have to take an entire dump truck load of rose petals and put them through a distiller in order to get that amazing rose scent that you smell.
Right.
So it's a lot of roses. And so essential oils are extremely strong, and they're not suitable for everybody. Some people have intense sensitivities. Certain ones most people are sensitive to, especially if it hits the sun. And so with essential oils, you need to be really careful when applying them straight.
Okay.
They call that neat. A lot of times you want to dilute it or diffuse it, so mixing it with oil or water to use them.
Right.
And even then, especially around young children, you need to be really careful. So there's something that's extremely strong. Whereas on the other end, homeopathy, it's a water dilution. So say you take an onion or a plant flower, you dilute it in water or in alcohol, but most of the time it's water, and you dilute it again and again and again. And so they have remedies that are 6 potency or 30 or 100 or 200. And so that's how many times it's been diluted. Okay. So by the time you're taking it, you're taking this very diluted version of that original plant or mineral or even a toxic substance. A lot of times they're made of. And so the reason why it works is because you're using something in such a water-based form of what it originally was. As humans, we're largely made of water, and so it's able to penetrate into a very deep, the DNA level of our cells when you're healing something. So that's why I choose homeopathy for deeply rooted health issues.
Okay.
And then so herbs, when you go and you harvest a bunch of herbs, you can put them in oil or witch hazel or, alcohol. And so you're not diluting it nearly as much. You're taking the whole plant, you're extracting the medicine from it, and then you strain it after a certain time. And then you might dilute, if it's in oil, you don't tend to dilute it, but if it's in alcohol, you'll dilute it again with water.
Okay.
So it's strong. It enters right into the bloodstream, so it's not going to get into your genetic cells as much.
Right.
get into your bloodstream. It's great for cleansing, and like if you wanted to do like a liver detox or something that you want to get right into your blood.
Okay, so
that's kind of how I see. Those are 3 big ones and the ways to tell the difference.
Okay, so it works at a much deeper level then. And it's just different fineness and grayness, and depending on what kind of issues or things you have, you can choose the right method.
And who you're working with. Like essential oils, I would tend to say are really strong. I don't personally take them internally. I know some people do. I don't feel like it's safe, honestly.
Okay.
Some people are like, yeah, I put it right in water and I drink it. And I have done that before, but I think too, as I've grown older, I've become more sensitive and cautious with things. Just the way that they work, and especially how they affect children, because I have 2 little kids.
Yeah.
So it's good to know how you're taking things. You can't overdose with homeopathy. That's one of the reasons it's great. It's really safe. It might not work, and that's more what happens. You'll have a mismatch, or there's, something called proving a remedy, and it can make, your body react in the way that the remedy is calling for. But those things are easily remedied with either mint or the smell of coffee. Both of those things will antidote a homeopathic remedy, which you can't really do. If you've taken too much essential oil, it's hard to deal with it. So the knowing what you're going to take and who you're administering it is very important with natural remedies. The effects are by and large way less than pharmaceuticals. But, there's always that person who's going to say, oh, that isn't safe. So I like to just make sure that people know what they're dealing with, and to know what you're taking, and have the wisdom and the knowledge before you just start saying, oh, I need this, and just start taking medicine. And it's from the earth, so you do need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so consulting with a naturopathic doctor who knows the herbs and can recommend that on a medical basis, probably the best way. Would you say?
Especially when you're first starting and you don't really know how you're using the remedies.
Yeah. Okay. So you're also big on the whole self-care movement and the whole about self-care. So tell us a bit more about that and how people can maybe do more self-care for themselves.
Sure. I found over the years that's the best way to find your inner moment of peace, taking little bits of time to care for yourself. When you don't have a family, I think it can be easier to kind of schedule it in. Even if you're really busy working, you're like, okay, I can do my workout here. A lot of people are into exercise, and that's a form of self-care for sure.
Yeah.
But then remembering to balance it out with, say, a restorative yoga session once a week. Or to me, self-care has become even as little as remembering to drink a glass of water. You go, and you're loaded up on caffeine, and you forget, like, hey, when was the last time I drank water? Being able to really know yourself, what you're really good at and what you need to improve upon, not in a negative way, but in a way to, help you feel better. So I really find the necessity for self-care is that, like, putting your own mask on first, and then you can help everybody. When you've given to yourself a little bit each day, it allows you to show up as your genuine self and then really be able to give to others.
Right.
So one of my favorite ways for people to align a self-care ritual into their life, especially if you feel like you're busy and I don't really have much time for self-care, is you can make a list.
Okay.
Say you have 30 minutes. You can start with that. Just make a little list in this 30 minutes of things that do make you feel good. A walk out in nature, a cup of tea,
right?
Doing an essential oil ritual with yourself, working on a health problem that you'd like to improve about yourself. And then next to each task that you have of self-care, put out how much time it takes.
Okay.
So if it's going for a walk, say, well, I have time for a 30-minute walk, or, drinking water literally takes 5 seconds, right?
Right.
A cup of tea might be 15 minutes, but writing next to your activities how long it takes. And then when you're ready to implement self-care, you can refer to your list and you're like, oh, I've got 15 minutes. That means I can do a restorative yoga session for 15 minutes, which might be 3 poses: legs up the wall, shavasana, and child's pose, you know. But you don't have to think about in that moment of time for self-care, what am I going to do? You're just merely applying one of these great things. So simple little things like, I don't know, I wash a lot of dishes, right? So next to my dishes, I have a bottle of rose water, a crystal, like just little things that I know I could spray myself with some rose water, and it's just instant little like, refreshment, you know?
Yeah.
Or by the door, we have a little station with this really nice hand cream that I like to put on us before we walk out the door. Just knowing that there's some way to make these mundane tasks more enjoyable by adding tiny bits of self-care to them. We have bedtime rituals, so we'll add a little self-care to that. And I make myself a yoga station so that it's easy. Make it easy on yourself to tap into self-care. We have our walks at the same time every day, so we know we're always going to do this. At 2 o'clock, I always sit down and have my cup of tea. So it's like making sure that you're setting yourself up for success with self-care. Because again, all your tools could be sitting there, but if you don't have a list and how long they take, it's harder to apply it, and it's harder to take them out of the closet and then use them. But if you have them kind of sprinkled around your space, and some in your car and some all over the place, it's really helpful for making it possible to apply your self-care.
Okay. So thanks for going over those tips. So some people might be watching and they might have some kind of thoughts that might be blocking them. So what are some other common blocks to people not giving themselves self-care?
Sure, mindset. So in my blog, I definitely talk about developing the self-care mindset. It's like anything in life, you got to get that mindset going, right, in order to be successful.
Yeah.
So sometimes people think that they're not worthy, right? Well, I don't really deserve this. Or, you know, it's for moms a lot. Well, I have this long list of things I have to do, and those are so much more important than me taking this few minutes for yourself. But I promise, every time I've heard someone say, like, I just want to sit on the couch for a minute, and they don't do it, the whole rest of the day is harder. Sometimes you really just have to listen to that inner voice of what you need, what's truly going to nourish and nurture you in that moment. Because if you can give yourself that, and I don't mean zoning out on Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, because we know that's fun, a little distraction here and there, but set a timer on it and then be like, now I'm going to do something that actually nourishes myself.
Right.
So figuring out what your block is really the first step. Being able to have that quietness. Maybe committing to, well, if I want to meditate, but meditation is hard, well, maybe you just need to find the right kind of meditation, right? Maybe you're not someone who does well with sitting meditation. Maybe yoga isn't your cup of tea, but maybe going for a walk is, or riding your bike. So how can you apply a mindfulness breathing practice to those more active activities? And that turns it into a meditation, you know? So it's really starting with that piece of what am I stuck with? What is, well, I don't have enough money. Well, there's plenty of self-care that costs nothing. And my blog has so much free information that helps people get into like, okay, well, let's remove that obstacle. Because sure, you can spend thousands of dollars on self-care. There's a whole industry out there to tap into of the self-care and just, you know, self-help stuff. But to really bring this into your life, it just takes will. It just takes that little, I'm going to do this because it feels good. And if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. It's not self-care. But if you find that you do it and it feels good, then keep following that. In my Instagram self-care tips, like really follow your heart. If it feels good, do it. And if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Saying no can also be self-care. You know, that annoying friend that calls you and like wants you to go do something, saying no to them can be your version of self-care in that moment. Actually, I'd rather, you know, go lay down and take a nap. A nap is a great self-care if you're exhausted and your adrenals are fatigued, you know? So allowing those negative thoughts to come up and really address them. I offer a great tool called tapping or EFT on my blog, completely free, doesn't cost you anything. I tell you exactly how to do it, and that is a great way to get through some of these mental blocks. So if labeling it isn't enough and you really need a tool that's going to help shift your brain patterning, this is one that I give in my blog that has helped so many people deal with large issues in their life.
Wow.
To really shift and come into power. I mean, I've used this stuff for everything around forgiveness. I even used it in my own labor of my child. Like it's a really powerful tool to help change mindsets. So that's a free one on my blog you can check out.
Great. Oh, thank you so much, Jahnan, for sharing all those tips and helping people. I mean, first of all, giving them some tools to do the self-care, but also overcome the blocks so they can actually experience it. So you can share with the audience right now just how they can get in touch with you, maybe your website, your blog, how they can reach you. That would be great.
So my website is hibiscushealing, like the flower.com. I have a free e-guide with all my top remedies. So if you don't know where to start, this is a great place to just start collecting information about remedies. I give lots of information in my blog about things and ways to do it. And if it still doesn't feel like it's bite-sized enough, I have an Instagram feed. That's where I put most of my social energy, called Self-Care Tips, with underscores in between each word.
Okay.
And this, I try to offer a few tips a day, just quick little things to tap into. Might be a picture of a rose, take time to smell the roses, that kind of thing. And this feed just offers you kind of more current, what am I doing in a day to offer myself self-care, and how do I model that to the people around me, including my children. So the other thing I was going to offer is I do make products, and I do ship internationally, so that I'm sure this is an international audience.
Yeah.
There's some countries that don't like to receive herbal remedies, but I pretty much know which ones those are, and England is on the list for okay.
Great.
So I do ship internationally, and I'm super open if anybody wants to talk. There's a contact space on my email to do that, so you can contact me. And I'm excited to just connect and learn more and totally tap into my blog. I'll teach you how to make a herbal tincture or an herbal oil. I've got all that in YouTube videos, so it's really easy to follow. You can come check me out, hibiscushealing.com.
Great. Thank you so much, Jahnan. Guys, I highly recommend checking Jahnan's website out and her channel. I've personally used some of her herbal remedies, and they're fantastic. So thank you for the time, and make sure you guys click on the link below, visit her site, read her blog, and we'll see you there.
Thank you. Peace, everybody.